This is a show about facing fear, unlocking courage, and taking action.
Courage isn't necessarily a daunting thing.
It's going to give you more purpose. It's going to give you more drive.
It feels like making a courageous decision is going to get you closer to who you aspire to be.
It's knowledge plus faith plus action equals courage.
Came in as the marketing assistant when I was 24 years old. Within like a year of the CMO kind of got burnt out on the place and she took off. I went to the owner and I said, she just left. What now? And they're like, okay, well, now it's your show. And so 25 years old, I was the CMO of multi-$100 million fashion brand Von Dutch.
All right, let's start with a game. Are you ready?
Okay, sure.
Okay. So, a little bird told me you were once the lead singer in a rock star band. Can you confirm this?
I will not deny.
Okay. Tell me the lyrics. I'm going to read the lyrics. You tell me what song this is. Okay, you ready?
All right. All right.
And I got to do my best not to give it away. Okay. So, and this is why I was never a lead singer. Where I come from isn't all that great. My automobile is a piece of crap. My fashion sense is a little whack. And my friends are just as screwy as me. I didn't go to boarding school. Preppy girls never looked at me. Why should they? I ain't nobody. Got nothing in my pocket. Beverly Hills. That's where I want to be. Living in Beverly Hills. Well, I'm giving it away at this point. So who?
I was going to say, if you get to the chorus, you're going to give it up. It's Weezer.
All right, cool. I figured you already had it. By the way, Weezer's coming out here. I can't wait to see those guys. All right.
Yeah, I saw them recently. They're really phenomenal, actually.
So let's start with, did you go to boarding school?
I did.
Okay, so this song is officially eliminated.
No, yeah.
And where I was really going with this is like, you don't see that. At least I haven't met that many people who grew up in Florida and were like, and made the choice to move to Beverly Hills, move to California. It's almost even impossible for me to get on a direct flight from California to Florida. So like, tell me, like, did you know right away growing up, like there was just some intrigue about California, or like, how did this come about?
Yeah, no, definitely. I always felt it. I just always wanted to be something more than ordinary. My first aspirations were to be, I played football in high school. I wanted to be an NFL quarterback. I grew up to be 5'9", so that didn't work out, obviously. And I ended up going to Pepperdine, so they didn't even have a football program. So I had effectively, by 16, I think I realized that wasn't happening. So I changed the dream. And then, yeah, I think I started to realize in late high school that I had this capability to do music. And that wasn't like necessarily the driving force. I think it was an intrigue into that. But I saw this school on the hill, and it was just like, it just looked like Shangri-La. It was perfect. And I literally I didn't go and visit. I didn't care about the curriculum, like nothing. I just wanted to go to that place as like, spend my college formative years in Malibu, California.
And is this pre-burn down Pepperdine or post? When did you go?
I went 97 to 01. I think that was later.
Okay, later. So in some ways, it's like, how fast can I get to California? And then, do you feel like, I mean, when you were in college there, were you one foot in college and one foot in this curious world called, celebrity, or were you pretty much in the college scene out of the gate?
I was intrigued by celebrity. I enjoyed, Malibu is quite a ways from like central Los Angeles where like all the stuff is going. But I remember in those like early years getting the chance to go to like Sky Bar at the Mondrian. This is, 97, 98. It was the coolest place on earth at that point. And like seeing the celebrities and being like, oh my God, that's so and so, like that's amazing. And yeah, I love that. But at the same time, I was also going to college and I was in a fraternity, and I was like, it's 3,000 undergrads. So it was a small school. Everybody knew everybody. And you didn't get out to the city all that often because it was this like little like cocoon of safety, and everybody was there. So it was maybe like, every couple weekends you would venture out. Like a big trip would be to go to like UCLA and go to the UCLA bars. And then, occasionally you'd get lucky and go to the Sunset Strip.
Well, I take a lot of pride in being a strategist first.
Mhm.
And I think where we're aligned is, it's about strategy, right? And
Mhm.
I'm gonna have to throw this down and say you win as a strategist. I went to I went to Ithaca College in like 12 inches of snow.
Yeah.
And also, one of the reasons I picked it was because of their television radio school.
Mhm.
But and I liked the size of the school. I got to see new people every day, but I
Mhm.
also ran into people I knew every day.
Yeah.
And that bubble that you talked about is exactly how I would have described Ithaca. And just in case the dean of Ithaca is listening, I wouldn't change a day. I
Yeah.
really wouldn't.
Mhm.
I also don't think it's surprised I live in San Diego now.
Yeah.
Okay. So did your brother also go to Pepperdine?
No, my brother was actually, he stayed on the Florida side of things. He went to Rollins College, which is a small undergrad school that's like kind of near Disney, like in Orlando.
Okay. Was this like the first time you guys were like truly separated, or was that not a
No, it's funny. Like our whole lives. I mean, when we were young, we were together, but I ended up going to boarding school, I think in 7th or 8th grade, and he's 5 years younger than me. So he was in like 2nd or 3rd grade. And then we both went to boarding schools at different times in different places. So yeah, we didn't spend like our teenage years much together. I came back from boarding school and lived in my hometown at the boarding school in my hometown. And I think he was already away at a different one in Jacksonville. So yeah, it was kind of, we were passing ships.
and was you said your boarding school was in Florida?
So I did two. I did Jacksonville, Florida, which my brother later did. And then I also did in my own hometown of Boca Raton, Florida. The high school there had a boarding program. So I did that too.
I just love like hearing where people start. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just cool to
Mhm.
hear like your curious story and your brothers, and we'll talk about Ryan a little bit too, what you guys are up
Mhm.
to now. Pretty interesting how you guys were all over the place, and now here you are together. Kind of, I
Yeah.
mean, you guys are on the rocket ship, really. But you and I do share one other thing in common. I don't know if you know
Mhm.
where I'm going with this, and
I
don't
might.
worry, it's not salacious. So that's good news. Before you get freaked out, um,
No.
so we both had some serious sparring with Von Dutch.
Oh, okay.
So,
I can't recall what your Von Dutch tie is, but I'm interested to hear.
well, you go first. Like, how did you get involved? Like, were you done with Pepperdine?
Mhm.
Was this years down the line, I'm assuming?
Yeah, yeah, definitely years down the line. In fact, after Pepperdine, I went and got a job at an entertainment management company called The Firm. This was like 2001. This was like pretty much right after 9/11, like 2 months after that. When I worked there for a couple of years, that was sort of, you were talking about like the celebrity bug and all. I think that's really where it like started for me because I was working at a company where we represented like Britney Spears and the Backstreet Boys, and then eventually AMG, which was Artist Management Group. Michael Ovitz's company got bought by it. And so then we had taken on like Leonardo DiCaprio and Samuel L. Jackson and Scorsese. And so every day in my office, I was growing very accustomed to seeing these people all the time and dealing in their world and kind of realizing the value that existed with influential people, let's just say, which has been like a through line of my whole career.
I mean, first of all, celebrities are people too, and it's almost sad that I have to
Mhm.
say it like that, and it's almost
Yeah.
sad that you can see that as a line on a T-shirt somewhere. But
Mhm.
it's true. Like and Randy Jackson is someone that I remember meeting through you very briefly, and
Mhm.
he's I mean, absurdly talented man, but
Yes.
just trying to live his life, right? He's a human
Yeah.
too, and we're kind of back to how we started this conversation. Like,
Mhm.
there's something inside a lot of people, you included, me included. It's like
Mhm.
I don't want to
Mhm.
just be ordinary. I want to go out
Yeah.
and go for it. There's some statistic that
Mhm.
50% of the U.S. population lives 50 miles from where they're born, which
Yeah.
is
Wow.
bonkers to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So, so, so you go on this adventure. You start sort of
Mhm.
interacting with celebrities.
Mhm.
How does Von Dutch
Mhm.
come into play here?
Yeah, so I'd put in about 2 years at the firm, and as I said, we'd bought Michael Ovitz's AMG, which turned it into It turned it from a very cool rock and roll company where everybody was like wearing, Chucks and jeans and stuff. And then it became much more like agency like a WME sort of vibe. A lot of agency managers with the suits and like the whole, that vibe. And I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. So it was time for a change. And I was lucky enough, one of the managers there managed a band called Stained. Gail Bowler was her name. And she was like, I have this opportunity for you at this other company. And it was called Von Dutch. I hadn't even heard of it at the time. She said, you should go check it out. And so I went and I interviewed to be like a marketing assistant there. Actually, the one thing I did remember was that like Fred Durst and Chris Cornell, who were both clients at the firm, were wearing the Von Dutch stuff. And I was like, oh, I think I'd seen that logo before or something. And then I got there, and while I'm sitting in the lobby waiting, there's sort of like a stop sign shaped table, glass table with just a mess of like Polaroids. And it was all these pictures of celebrities all wearing this stuff. And I was like, damn, this is like a very celebrity driven brand. And it was like literally just taking off at that point. And so I went in and I got the opportunity. And so I ended up taking it, came in as the marketing assistant. I was 24 years old. And within like a year of being there, the CMO kind of got burnt out on the place and she took off. And when she did, I went to the owner and to the head designer and I said, well, she just left. Like, what now? And they're like, okay, well, now it's your show. And so 25 years old, I was the CMO of, a multi-$100 million fashion brand, Von Dutch. And my main thing the whole time, though I was deemed marketing, like my job was mostly celebrity relations. Like I was dealing with all the celebrities as they came into the store, dressing them. I sort of was like partially like a stylist for them. I just like knew how to like curate what we had in the store for them, and we could make custom things. Like we had like a tailor on site, so I could make custom patch jeans and customized leather jackets. And the owner was very like, he realized that celebrity was the brand there, so he pretty much gave carte blanche until a certain point to give celebrities whatever they wanted. And so I was sort of like the host of this wonderful, trip that they get to go on in the store. They'd come and they'd pick out whatever they wanted. They'd come and they'd take pictures with the owner and the head designer and myself. And, we ended up having hundreds and hundreds of pictures. And that was sort of, this was pre-social media. There was, that was sort of like the way to get the brand out. So we had tons of these pictures. We had them hanging all over our office. We used our, this is like Web 1.0. This is like 2003 websites. And we would just constantly, we'd create pop-ups. Pop-ups were like a new thing back then. And so we'd have a pop-up every time a celebrity would come in. And so we were getting tons and tons of hits to our website because people wanted to see who'd come in next. And it was literally like anybody you could imagine. I mean, we'd have Halle Berry or Madonna or Justin Timberlake or Britney Spears. And it wasn't like one day I actually had Beyonce and Sheryl Crow show up unannounced 30 minutes apart. It was like that kind of magical environment. And some of it was me, reaching and creating these situations. Some of it was just kind of like waiting for the celebrities to arrive and then wooing them and then keeping the relationship ongoing and continuing to send them clothes and bring them back into the store and such.
I mean, it's fascinating. Like, you don't have a crystal ball, obviously,
No.
on like the arc of your career, but like
Mhm.
here you are still in the relationships game, right?
Mhm.
Like, did you have any clue even back then that you would be here now?
No. In fact, if you told me what I was doing, you would have had to like told me you were from, coming in a time machine, because I would have been like, what the hell is that? Like an influencer marketing company? What is Instagram? I don't know what you're talking about. But considering if you were to tell me this and then tell me the through line to it, then it would all make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool though. Like, I'm sure once a celebrity came into the store, and I mean, like you said, you're like a fashion consigliere, and they,
Yeah,
there's trust, a trust bridge, right?
absolutely.
That comes with that. And I'm
Mhm.
curious if you're still in touch with anyone. Like, are you really close with anyone that's like that you met by
Mhm.
them stumbling through that Von Dutch store?
I mean, I wouldn't say very close. Celebrities are hard to keep that sort of relationship with. I hate to say it, but it's a lot of times it's very transactional, sadly. But no, I still definitely have many of them that if I reached out, they would instantly remember me. I mean, I have funny ones like, like Dennis Rodman. It was like one of my poster boys back then. I mean, I still have his cell phone number, and I saw him. I saw him a few years ago at an event. We started taking red carpet pictures together, and he leaned down to me and he goes, "You got fat." I'm like, "Fuck you, man."
That's love. That's love right
I
there.
was very skinny back then. I was the model for Von Dutch back then as well.
Oh my gosh. All right, and then
That was a wild time.
how do you kind of leap from that life into your own ventures, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure. So I think by 26, I really felt like the sense to like go out and like make my own way. This was like the third year of the arc of Von Dutch kind of going up and then on the parabola down, So I didn't want to be a part of a sinking ship. I kind of saw the writing on the wall. And I had a friend of mine, actually a mentor of mine, a guy named Jay Wilson, who was an action sports guy. He came in and he did like an assessment of the brand, and he was like, this is in a lot of trouble. There's not a lot going on that's particularly good here, but you are a gem, and I'm going to be installed as president of this new company, or of this classic skate company called Osiris. And I'd like you to come in. It was San Diego based, so you probably know of it. He was like, I'd like to bring you in, run all like the PR and marketing externally. You don't have to come down to San Diego except for maybe every like month or so, and you could start your own business. And so gave me like a really nice retainer monthly. And I was like, oh, well, all right, I guess I'm going to be doing this. So I go in to resign at Von Dutch, and, the owner's like, we can't have you leave. Like, you're sort of the center hub of all communications and marketing for us. And, we need to look steady here. So like, what if I were to just, allow you to work remotely or spend some of the time here and then still start your entrepreneurial venture? And so I was like, okay, well, I want to keep the exact same pay that I'm getting paid now in-house to do that out. And he said, sure. So I went from, having a day job to getting a huge retainer from another company, and then also getting to keep the other. So I was getting like triple the money that I was previously getting, and I was able to go out and go start a company. So that was the beginning of American Rebel PR in 2005. Yeah, 2005.
I mean, if you were going to tell me that Von Dutch on its way down was like, let's take the same model, launch a clothing line, but rebrand it. American Rebel as a name could have been the name.
I know. Yeah, there was exploration into that, and never ended up working out. But it would have. Trust me, if you ever saw the imagery for it, like it was meant to be a clothing brand.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And I could see it. I could totally see it. I guess just to put a bow on our end. So meanwhile, somewhere in San Diego, we're four kids out of a house who have no business starting a business, and we launched Fish Tank. We launched my first branding firm, and I don't even know how it happened.
I remember it well.
I had gotten a call from Mike Ejek. Do you know that name? That name ring a bell?
I don't. Can't recall.
Mike had somehow stumbled into acquiring the Von Dutch brand, and it wasn't just Mike, or he was about to. So wherever it was, when you're like, get me off this ship, and then that's when we got the call and like, hey, is this something you want to come in and like help us like bring back? We didn't even like do much on it. It was like brand book, the places you could go with the brand, and really like probably leveraging all the magic that you had created. And like that was the beginning of the end. It was clear that like it wasn't going to be a rocket when like it used to be, but it has been a up and down battle for that brand. Would you be surprised if it came back again?
It has in some small ways. I mean, Kylie Jenner started wearing it a little bit, and then that got Travis Scott wearing it a little bit, and then it became like a TikTok thing. That was about 2 years ago. There was a documentary on Hulu about it, and I was asked to be in it. Luckily, I did not participate because it was pretty salacious. But I was in some of the pictures in the background and stuff like that. But right around that time, there was this reemergence of Von Dutch, and I thought in my mind, I was like, if they do this documentary really well, there is the prospect that like this could help like be like a revival for the brand. But all it was just a complete, hatchet job. The executive producer scared me in a meeting when he told me that it was going to be his Tiger King. I was like, okay, well, if you're saying that, then I don't really want to be a part of this. So, and it was very much that. So unfortunately, Von Dutch's little reemergence was very short-lived.
So when you think about like all these sort of the skipping rock
Mhm.
across the lake, did I also see that you produced for a little bit up there?
Yeah, like producing TV shows and such.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I had a little stint of that. I was actually the star of the first episode of a TV show on MTV called MTV's Hired that ended up getting me a piece in the Wall Street Journal and in the Hollywood Reporter. And basically, the concept of it was, you know, fresh out of college kids going and getting their first job and coming and interviewing with potential employers. And so I was one of those people. And funny enough, the guy that I hired is an actor named Jay Ellis, who is one of the stars of Top Gun.
Wow.
So it
Now,
was, yeah, exactly. One of the new, rebooted version or whatever. And then also at the same time, I met Dee Snider of Twisted Sister and produced
nice.
a reality show about him and his family that was sort of a la the Osbournes and who else? Gene Simmons. It was sort of that sort of vibe. It only went for like one season on A&E, but yeah, had a couple production credits to my name at that point, and yeah, kind of just tried to have my hands in a bunch of different things in Hollywood.
All right. If you think about like how they all sort of help you get to where you are today,
Mhm.
is there like in your mind, is there a thread?
I would say just being a tenacious communicator, like always being willing to make the first outreach and not relent until I got what I wanted. Not at the level of being annoying about things, but I think a lot of people in this world, like when they don't get something that they want, their ego gets the better of them, and they're like, "Oh, screw that guy! I'm not going to contact him again. I already tried." If I want something from somebody, I don't give a shit. Even at this level of my career, I obviously will practice a little bit more caution and not be badgering anybody because that's just annoying and it doesn't help you. But like, I've won over clients like 4 or 5 years later just by like staying in the picture and like figuring out creative ways to like follow up. It's not like I learned a long time ago. If you just start sending people emails saying just checking in, that's fucking annoying. Like nobody wants to hear from you asking
Yeah.
just saying you're checking in because all that shows them is that like you're selfishly thinking and you're just trying to like improve your situation. But if you kind of look at what's going on in their news and their culture and their personal life or whatever, and then utilize that information to create like a meaningful dialogue, you'll be surprised at how successfully you can revive conversations that have gone dormant years earlier.
So I'm curious how Ryan comes back into the fold. And before we even
Mhm,
go to influential and what you guys have built there, because it's amazing,
mhm,
little rumor I want to address. There is a rumor that
mhm.
your brother Ryan is actually a IBM Watson creation. Do you just plug him into the wall at the end of the night?
Yes,
Or is he
yes,
a robot? Or is he a human?
yes.
I mean, he's a rock star, man. I mean, I
Mhm.
love, it's a perfect, you guys are the work ethic is real. And
Thank
do
you.
you feel like you always kind of knew, oh, it would be cool to work on something together, or was it the
No,
exact
not at
opposite?
all. No clue. No, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't have guessed it in a million years. And it didn't really come together until he moved out to LA. He saw what I was doing and I think he thought it was exciting. And, we initially had kind of teamed up a little bit around American Rebel, but it was like a fashion lifestyle sort of PR company and it wasn't his cup of tea, his vibe. But, he was doing like biz dev for me and he helped me get a few clients here and there. But what he really did during that time was, spent time learning a new craft and looking at an emerging business. And, he really introduced me to the thought of influencers and, social marketing as it could apply to, a multi-billion-dollar business. At the time, there was I think maybe a billion or a couple $1 billion business in total. I think now the TAM, the total addressable market for this year, is $28 billion or something like that. But yeah, we were really at like the beginning of an industry, and he was working with a couple of different people in the background, and he was kind of creating what are called niche accounts. Like so on Twitter, he had like at travel, at fashion and style. What he started seeing was that brands were like responding to this and even offering money to post content there. And it, became this aha moment that, wow, this could be like a business, but the overall influencer business is just starting, and it's completely the wild, wild west. There's no structure to it. I mean, if you look at anything in advertising or in marketing, it's all very structured and it fits into, agency budgets and line items and all that sort of stuff. At this time, it was not at all. So the beginning of our industry was we were some of the innovators of it, educating people and teaching them the practice of it, why it was important, how you measure it, which has been the most critical part of it. We're the company, we're the biggest influencer marketing company in the world, and the reason we became that way is because we took the approach of working for the brands, not trying to represent the influencers, and to create data and structure behind it. We created AI influencer marketing, like you had mentioned, with IBM Watson in 2016. And that was like our first breakthrough technology, but it didn't stop with that. We kept going. And what really set us apart was the ability to actually track things like sales, put traffic into stores for clients of ours like McDonald's, sales at grocery stores and drugstores for CPG brands, and then being able to measure TV tune-in lift. So did you watch a Netflix show or an Amazon show, or did you tune into NBC because of something that we had served you as a social ad? So watching the growth curve of our industry and what it's become has been, astonishing and humbling to be a part of.
And I remember, in some ways, it feels like just yesterday, and it also feels like 30 years ago that I walked into your office, and I'm sure who knows how many offices it was ago. And I met I met Ryan as well, and you guys sat me down and showed me this like platform, and just like I was just like blown away. First of all, I was kicking myself. I'm like, why did I? Again, you've out strategized me again. Because here I was in this. I mean, like I love creativity and I love storytelling, but I made a choice to go into a very subjective arena. And if you're a creative, it's gladiator every day. It's thumbs up or thumbs down. And what you guys were able to build, I remember Ryan showing me and like talking about the IBM Watson part, and I was like, this is brilliant. And this is a show about courage. You think about the fear that a chief marketing officer has. The fear starts to shrink away when you start to see the science behind the choices, and it's their choice, right? You're just serving up. Here's who's going to like-minded with your business. So today you've done over 100 million, I think, in campaigns. I think you've done 2 billion in measurable sales. Call me off if I'm getting any of this off.
It's way bigger than all of that. I don't want to go in and start giving you specific numbers, but it's epically huge, and it gets bigger and bigger every year. I mean, I think we're going to grow 50% this year, and I mean, amazing. To be at a 9-year point of our company and still be talking like that is wild. So it's amazing. Kudos to my brother for identifying this space so early on, because it allowed us to get like a major jump start, and everybody else who's come into the industry is playing from behind with us. And it's nice too, because he's such a business analytical sort of mind, and I'm such a connector, and working with celebrities and influencers is very second nature to me. So it's very complimentary.
Well, I also want to commend you because the universe you've played in for so long, you could have like the biggest ego in the world, and you've always been approachable. You've always been like very generous with your time. You still respond to my text messages. I'll take it. Like, how do you stay grounded in all this?
My favorite thing in the world is to help people, honestly. Like, and luckily, doing that enough finds a way to have it help you back. But I still get the biggest satisfaction of any part of my life when I connect people, and then greatness happens as a result of it. I love to do it for myself, but I love to do it even more for other people. And I think I will continue to be that way no matter what happens or no matter how successful I am. And I think as a result of that, the universe pays you back,
Is there a celebrity that you've met? I know we go back to celebrities or people too. Do you get starstruck still? Like, does that even exist for you?
Yeah, for sure. There's a couple of celebrities that I haven't met that are like oh my God, I don't know what I would do if I met them, because I don't know like what super relevant thing I mean, maybe in the moment I'd be fine, but I grew up a huge Broncos fan, so John Elway would definitely be one of those people. Dave Matthews would be another. Larry David. Yeah, there's a couple people that would definitely have me starstruck. But by and large, I'm very, very used to and accustomed to these situations. And sometimes when I don't even expect it, like I'm thrust into something, and like all of a sudden, like recently in the last year, I've become pretty good friends with LL Cool J. I booked him for a conference called Patal last year. Helped him get an Icon Award there, and then also have him speaking at the Possible conference in Miami next month, which I'll also be on the main stage of myself. So yeah, like instances like that, like I wouldn't have anticipated this coming, but like a certain fortuitous, circumstance got me into that position. And all of a sudden, because of what we do, because of our position in the world, I have access to people that would, not normally be in people's access. And I provide something valuable to all of them now too. So I could speak to them intelligently and command like a mutual respect, which is awesome.
So, in the spirit of courage, when you think about
Mhm.
the brand, is there like a, I mean, it sounds like you're always hitting the gas, but like in terms of,
Mhm.
okay, this might even be a little brave, this move that we're making. Is there one
Mhm.
that's top of mind right now that you're like, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but we're hitting the gas and we're going for it in this
Mhm.
space?
Yeah. It's almost always been like that. We've always been like ready to double down. We've invested personally in our business, and for the longest time had blinders as to anything else outside of, making Influential the biggest and best influencer marketing company in the world. I mean, something that sticks out to me in the very early days was we started sort of down the early road of Influential by doing these large scale events with influencers. And this was before there was any influencer houses per se. That's like a big thing, TikTok culture now or whatever. But back, 2014, we actually threw the first influencer house at Coachella with, the likes of Jake Paul and Logan Paul and all these folks. And, had this idea to do this as like a marketing tool for the company. And I remember reaching out to all of the biggest publications because I had, come from PR background. And the most unlikely of all of them was Entertainment Tonight. And they called me back. The executive producer was like, I'm sending you a crew. And I was actually scared. I was like, I don't think that she knows what I'm even talking about. So I call her back and actually advocate sort of against myself and say, listen, I want you to understand this. Remember 2014. So that's why I would say, Paris Hilton's not going to be here. Kim Kardashian's not going to be here. You're not going to know who these people are. Your child or your niece and nephew might know, but you won't know. And she goes, that's interesting that you say that, Chris, because we had this conversation internally where we're the world's biggest entertainment news show, but we're also the oldest skewing. And we had an internal meeting and we said to our youngest staff members and our interns, what is cool today? Like, what could we do to make ourselves cool? And they said influencers. And she said, between my faith in you, Chris, and what they told me, I'm sending you the crew. And the reason I had the faith in her is because years before I'd helped produce Getty Images, Gibson Guitar, and Entertainment Tonight's events during Sundance on Main Street. And so I'd done that for a couple of years. So I built that rapport with her. And so, because of my great relationship with her and because her staff had told her that was a need that they needed to fill, she ended up sending the crew out to us. And I mean, put Logan Paul on TV for the first time ever, had all these great creators. We did this piece of content. Ryan and I were interviewed. And then at the end of the day, they wrapped up and went home. And come Monday, it's on national TV. And there's 3 minutes of coverage about Coachella, and 2 minutes and 10 seconds of it are about our little house down the street from Coachella. And then the last 50 seconds were about the 300,000 person festival down the street. And I think at that point, I kind of knew that we were onto something really, really big.
Well, again, it's just another moment, right, where
Mm-hmm.
it validates your intuition and it validates
Mm-hmm.
like you're on the path. So I guess I got to ask, and we're coming down the home stretch here. What's cool today? If you're going to give the audience like 3 places to play in cool matters, let's say you're going to Florida to be on the stage Possible, and someone's like, all right, Chris,
Yeah.
like 3 insights on what's cool today. Where do you take us?
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting kind of old here. I'm 44, so I don't know if I'm the arbiter of cool that I once was, but I mean, there's no question that TikTok is, the center of, Gen Z and younger's attention span. I think it's probably the platform right now that's doing the best job connecting with the youth generation. I also think that things like, emerging technologies are very cool right now. It's not in everybody's purview, but like things like, just seeing like Chat GPT coming up, and all of a sudden AI is like so real now, and the metaverse coming along. And I just formed a partnership with the Sandbox in the metaverse, so we're going to be helping bring awareness to the metaverse, sending people using influencers on other platforms, sending them to the Sandbox and bringing brands there as well. So I think emerging technology is very cool right now, and celebrities still remain cool. I think there's like a blurred line now between what like a celebrity and an influencer is, and I think as time goes along further, it's going to be an even greater blurred line, because I think that influence is going to launch anybody into celebrity, whereas sometimes people become celebrities in movies or as a result of musicians, and they become influencers. I think the track, I mean, when you could see that, like, Justin Bieber, who's one of our most popular people, at 16 years old was founded on YouTube, and like that launched that kind of a career. I think that's what you're going to see more and more. So yeah, I guess in retrospect, it would be TikTok, technology, the emergence of technology, and that blurred line of what a celebrity and what an influencer is, and how they move culture.
Well, and I also think we didn't even talk about athletes and like where do they fit in this?
Yeah,
Is that straight into the
that's
celebrity camp? I mean, I'm thinking
yeah,
about I'm showing my cards because we're in the middle of March Madness, and this now I'm gonna move this
yeah,
episode up. But like the girls from
hmm
Miami, the girls, the Twins,
yeah,
Miami just
hmm
knocked off the number
Cavender
one,
twins, yeah,
right? And
hmm
the whole nil game, and like so influential. You want you
NIL,
want to
yeah,
you want to talk a little bit
yeah,
about
sure.
influential real quick?
Yeah, yeah. So I love the NIL space. That is definitely a big touch point in culture right now. I think there's an element of celebrity. There's an element of influence in these athletes, and we've actually just been working on some stuff around March Madness, and I kind of equated it as it's this magical moment where where instant folk heroes are created. Like you'll always remember like Doug Edert from last year, and it's just always like some unlikely hero coming from this small school or whatever that just takes on this otherworldly sort of feat. And I love that about NIL. For those who don't know what NIL is, in 2 years ago in July 1st, it basically allowed college athletes to get paid for the first time ever. And so, what was always amateur, so you couldn't get paid. Meanwhile, you're watching these schools, pay their coaches $8-10 million, build, billion-dollar facilities, and it's sort of unfair to the athletes. And so finally, there was enough of an upheaval about it that they were able to push it in so that kids could get paid now. And so we are seeing through things like the national championship game when you're talking about football, through March Madness when you're talking about basketball, like the instant famification of these people that like weren't anybody the day before. Like it's even fun to see, like some of them you'll see they had 3 or 4,000 followers. They weren't even verified on Instagram. All of a sudden, they've got 50,000 plus followers, and now Supercuts or whoever wants to do a deal with them. So I think it's really exciting. We got on it very, very early. I had the pleasure of actually speaking at the first NIL summit last year, and I did it with some of our clients. Was actually working with Sharif O'Neal, who is Shaquille's son, and then also was lucky enough to share the stage with Jerome Bettis, which was super cool. The little middle schooler in me was super proud of myself. But yeah, that is such a fun space, and it's so fast emerging. And it sort of reminds me of like the early days of Influential, where we were just trying to teach the curriculum of influencer marketing. I feel like we're teaching the curriculum of NIL now. And I think it's one of those things that brands are dipping their toe into, but are getting increasingly more excited. And, there's so many opportunities within it.
Well, I probably should have started with this. Happy
Mhm.
anniversary. Oh, happy almost anniversary. I think we're coming on 4 years with you and
Yeah.
Lisa, correct?
Yeah. You do your research. I like it. Yeah. 4 years married and 8 years together. Yeah.
You guys going back to Italy anytime soon?
Yeah. I think we're going to go back this summer. There's the Cannes Lions coming up, which I'm doing something really big there. And then afterwards, I think we're going to go kind of rekindle the romance in Italy.
If I run into John Elway or Dave Matthews, I will be sure to
Yes,
connect you. In the meantime, please send my
please.
best to to Ryan and to Lisa. And man, it's just cool to watch you do what you're doing and keep it up. And, if you ever get down
Thanks,
south
brother.
here, stay in touch. Come see me.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
See you, Chris. Thanks, man. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Courageous Podcast. If you enjoy the show, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts so more people can find us. See you again next week.